Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Season 3 is dropping tomorrow with the release of Shattered Veil. Now we are all creatures of habit, and by this point in the game that we probably all have our augments all completely set, ready to go, and we hardly ever touch them from game to game. So today I want to go through the augments that I run on pretty much a daily basis so we can compare to what you run during a daily basis. And if you're running something different than what I'm running, well, I'm really curious as to why and what your play style for the game is like. While all of these augments, major and minor augments, might seem relatively minor in the grand scheme of things, they can make your game a lot easier or a lot more difficult depending on what you're running. Let's kick it off here with the field upgrades just to kind of shake this up just a little bit. Now, when it comes to field upgrades, I am hardly ever running anything besides Ether Shroud. Ether Shroud is what I am going to 99% of the time. A couple of strategies over on the tomb, I will use the energy mine. Depending if I'm doing a certain camo challenge, I might be using Frenzied Guard, but otherwise maybe some healing aura if I'm playing with some players from the community. But usually even then I'm still going with the Ether Shroud, and since that's mainly my go-to, let's talk about that one first. I do almost always run the group shroud pretty much 24/7, whether I'm playing with other players or not. Now you can do the Void Sheath or the Burst Dash. I mean, that is up to you. I don't really like the Burst Dash, so that's kind of why I moved over to the group shroud pretty much all of the time. And with most of my field upgrades, I am going with the extra charge by 1. Now we're not going to talk about all these, but if you're running something a little bit different, let me know down in the comments what you're running and why. Now for energy mine, when I am running energy mine, I am running turret, and of course I am running that extra charge by 1. Frenzied Guard, I'm going to be running the Frenzy Fire, where I'm using the ammo from my stock, and I'm also going to be running extension, which is going to increase the Frenzied Guard duration as my minor augment. Tesla Storm, I haven't used this one beyond some of the testing that I have done when it first came out here. So static discharge on activation create a lethal surge of electricity around you, and overclock, your movement speed is increased during Tesla Storm, which they will be fixing in this upcoming patch tomorrow, because that is currently not working. Now Dark Flare, I know, has been getting a couple of buffs, but I still don't use it all that often. But when I do, I have the extension on it to increase the Dark Flare duration, and the extra charge, which is going to increase my max charges by 1. Now on the rare instance that I am running the healing aura here, I do have on resilience, where all affected players have their health regen delay reduced and their rate of healing increased temporarily, as well as protection, where healed players will have their damage mitigated for a short time. Now ammo mods are just as important as the Perk-a-Colas, probably more important than the augments you're running for your field upgrades, and equally if not more important than the augments you are running with your Perk-a-Colas. The reason being, these ammo mods are what are going to help us kill zombies, they're going to help us kill specials, they're going to help us kill elites. And I know personally, I would change my ammo mod sometimes several times a game, just depending on the situation that I have upcoming and what I have going on in game. So kicking it off from the bottom of the list, Lightmend, I will be running dual action, where consuming a healing glyph will temporarily allow you to heal faster. This is another augment that is currently not working. It was working when I did my Lightmend testing video, which was only like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So somewhere in the past couple of weeks it's broke, but it will be fixed, or supposed to be fixed, for the upcoming patch here tomorrow. And Express Remedy, where increase the range that the glyph will move to you, which I think is one of the most overpowered things for Lightmend. Now with Shadow Rift, I'm going to be running the Topple Danger, so you can warp one enemy that deals shadow damage to other nearby enemies, as well as Supermassive, where the singularity's radius is increased and you can kill more enemies. I find that this is the best way to be running Shadow Rift. Brain Rot, I don't hardly ever run Brain Rot. I made a video on Brain Rot, and I really, honestly, I haven't gone back to it. But Pheromone and Explosive would be the way to go, and probably the only way to go when it comes to Brain Rot. So the Pheromone is gonna basically act as a little bit of a monkey bomb, and then you put the explosion on, and it's gonna explode and, you know, kill some of those zombies rather. But that's probably the only way that you should be running Brain Rot. Now for Cryo Freeze, another one that I feel pretty strongly about, this is really the only way that you should be running Cryo Freeze, and that is with the Ice Cloud and the Liquid Nitrogen. Best way to run Cryo Freeze, hands down. If you do run your Cryo Freeze a little bit different, let me know, and let me know why. Napalm Burst, I run the Firebomb, where the burned enemies explode on death, and I also run Incendiary, where each tick has a small chance to spread to a nearby enemy. And then finally on Deadwire, there is one way and one way only to run Deadwire. And if you watch Donut's video on Deadwire, I never made a video on Deadwire, but if you watch Donut's video on Deadwire, yeah, then you know that there's only one way to run this particular ammo mod here, and that is Lightning Strike and extension. You must have it. Put it on now. If you don't have it on, put it on now. And then finally, let's just wrap this up with the Perk-a-Colas. For stamina up, I am running Dasher for the increased tactical sprint duration, and I'm running Hot Foot to gain that speed boost after you get a kill with your equipment. I absolutely love Hot Foot, one of my favorite things. I often forget that I have it until I get, you know, like a grenade kill or something, and then bam, I can just, you know, take off like Lightning McQueen or something. Quick Revive, Dying Wish, and Karmic Returns are my go-to for that. Juggernog, I do bounce back and forth between Probiotic, which gives you that extra 50 health, and the reactive armor. I bounce back and forth between that a lot, but one thing that always stays pretty consistent is I am running the Hardened Plates to give me that increased damage mitigation. My plates don't last quite as long, but increased mitigation is really truly what I want out of my Juggernog. But I really am curious because a lot of you out there do run Jug a whole different ways. I know Donuts out there likes to really gas up Turtle Shell right now. I tried it out, Donuts. I tried it out, buddy. I can't see it. I can't really see its use case. I don't no. Stay away from Turtle Shell. Oh my gosh. Melee Macchiato, I am typically with Espresso, allowing me to have faster melee attacks, and also with Stick Moved to increase my backpedal speed. For Vulture's Aid, I am going to be running Parting Gift on a daily basis to give me increased ammo for my wonder weapons. Now granted, this is only certain maps, so if you want to change it, but honestly, I don't really care for the other two, so I hardly ever go in to change it at all. And I'm almost always running Picky Eater, so the zombies have a higher chance of dropping me my current equipment. For Speed Cola, this one hasn't changed pretty much since launch day. I am running classic formula, reload even faster, and quick swap my weapons faster, and I don't even think that I have ever really considered any other augments for my Speed Cola. So if you do and you have considered other augments for your Speed Cola, please let me know and let me know why. For PhD, this is another one that hasn't changed for a very long time. PhD Slider, I like the sliding and I like the Tribologist to get me that extra sliding distance all day with PhD Slider and Tribologist. Death Perception, Death Stare has become my go-to with this. Your elemental weakness is going to have a chance to kill an enemy that is at low health, and honestly, they have buffed this to, I think it's somewhere like 20%. It might be like 20% now. I remember I got a buff. I don't remember exactly where it was and then where it went to, but it did get a buff, and it is a lot better than it was before. And I also used the Further Insight to increase the perception radius, because honestly, the other two minor augments are just completely worthless. I mean, honestly, they're all three completely worthless. The only thing that's worth anything when it comes to Death Perception is the Death Stare, at least in my opinion anyway. That's what I'm running with my Death Perception. Or my Deadshot Daiquiri. Now, for a very long time here, I would do the Dead First, where you would deal double critical damage if an enemy is at full health. I would run that all of the time. Well, over the past month, maybe 2 months or so, I have switched to Deadhead all of the time, and I never change this, as well as Dead Break to increase damage to armor pieces. This is functional in game. It's difficult to test and mostly effective against manglers, more so than it is just your regular armored zombies, but that's a whole topic for another day here. But I am running Deadhead to get me that increased, I think it's 5%. You get an additional 5% boost in every bullet that you deal, versus just in one bullet with the Dead First, and only if it's at full health. So that's just the way I've landed. That's where I've landed. That's what I've done. But both of them that I do think would be relatively viable. The higher rounds you go, the more kind of shadow damage, like bullet penetration damage you're dealing to other zombies, which means the less of the Dead First that you would actually get in game. But hey, to each their own. Do what you want to do with Deadshot, but let me know if you do something differently. And finally, Elemental Pop. I do run Citrus Focus. That way I know what is going to pop with my Elemental Pop, because if I have Elemental Pop and I pop a Brain Rot when I don't want to hit a Brain Rot, I'm gonna be a little bit mad. And Vulnera Bean is always the way to go as well for your minor augment to increase that elemental weakness damage. So yeah, those are all of the augments that I pretty much run on a daily basis. I am hardly ever touching any of those augments. It's pretty much set it and forget it for me at this point in the game. Now, unfortunately, I will not be here to make content for you on Wednesday or Thursday. I will not be back in until Friday. I do have to go out to my real job, which is really unfortunate, because I took off the week a couple of weeks ago to make sure that I was here for the launch of season 3, and then they delayed it for a couple of weeks. And unfortunately, I just have to be at work. It was too late for me to get that week off. I need to tell them like 6 weeks in advance. So when I try to take the week off so I can be here to make content with you and be here with you for the launch, unfortunately, that just didn't work out for me this time around. But I will be back on Friday. We will kick it off with a live stream where I will be playing Shattered Veil for the very first time live on stream. So be sure to let me know down in the comments if you're running your augments any differently than the way I'm running mine, but more importantly, let me know why you're running them a little bit differently. I know everybody just kind of feels like their way is the best way. I mean, that's just human nature. I look forward to reading all your comments, and I look forward to spending Friday with you all playing some Shattered Veil. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Cool Whip, and I'm out.